Africa is home to the most feared predators on Earth, but sometimes even they run. In this video, we'll reveal 10 real cases where something emerged from the river, so terrifying it made lions flee. Each case grows darker, and the last one will leave you speechless. Number 10. In the dark waters of the Okavango River in Botswana, something monstrous lurks beneath the surface. Local fishermen speak in hushed tones about the Goliath tigerfish, a predator so fierce it's been called the piranha of Africa. This fish can grow over a meter long, has dagger-like teeth that interlock perfectly, and attacks with such speed that even birds flying low over the river have been snatched mid-air. One documented case tells of a grown man whose hand was severed when he reached into the water near a known tigerfish nest. He survived, but never returned to the river again. Scientists have confirmed its existence, but locals claim there are larger ones, hiding deeper, older, and more aggressive than anything ever caught. Unlike crocodiles, the tigerfish doesn't wait. It charges. Number 9. In the dense rainforests of the Congo Basin, deep within the murky waters of Lake Tele and its surrounding rivers, generations of locals have described a creature they call Mokele Mbembe. It's said to be as large as an elephant, with a long neck like a sauropod and a thick serpentine tail. Western explorers first recorded the legend in the early 20th century, but the descriptions go back much further, carved into stone and passed down through oral tradition. Multiple expeditions, including one led by biologist Roy Mackol in the 1980s, gathered witness accounts from tribes who claimed to have seen it with their own eyes. Some even described how the creature capsized canoes and let out a deep, resonant roar. Skeptics say it's just a misidentified hippo or rhino, but satellite imaging of the region revealed strange trails leading from the river into untouched forest, too wide to belong to any known animal. To this day, no one has captured a clear image or physical evidence of Mokele Mbembe, but the fear in the eyes of those who've seen it feels undeniably real. Number 8. Along the muddy banks of the Kasai River in the Democratic Republic of Congo, something was uncovered after a brutal flood in 2021. Fishermen found the bloated, partially decomposed body of a creature unlike anything they had ever seen. It was over 2 meters long, had thick, rubbery skin, and a mouth filled with irregular, jagged teeth. Its limbs, if that's what they were, seemed to fold inward like flippers, but too stiff, too dense. They dragged it to shore and took photos, which quickly spread online. Some speculated it was a malformed dolphin or crocodile, but marine biologists pointed out that no known species in that region matches the morphology. The most chilling detail? The carcass had deep puncture wounds, multiple clean holes through the torso, as if something much bigger had attacked it. Within days, the body vanished. Officials claimed the remains decomposed or were washed back into the river, but locals tell another story, that men in hazmat suits arrived, sealed the area, and removed the creature before dawn. What was it? No one knows, but many in the village refused to fish near that stretch of river ever again. Number 7. In the early hours of a foggy morning on the Tana River in Kenya, 2 park rangers on patrol reported seeing something move across the water, slowly, silently, against the current. At first, they thought it was a floating log, but as it approached the shore, it lifted what looked like an arm, with 5 long, human-like fingers. One of the rangers, a former soldier, said it was like watching a man crawl out of the river, except it wasn't a man. They radioed for backup, but by the time help arrived, the figure had disappeared into the nearby reeds. No tracks, no sounds, just ripples on the water and a foul, metallic smell in the air. The Kenyan Wildlife Service launched an investigation, but found no trace of the entity. The story might have faded, except for the cell phone footage. Blurry, shaky, but unmistakable. A dark, upright figure standing motionless in knee-deep water, watching the rangers from a distance. The footage was uploaded anonymously, then quickly removed. Still, frames were captured and analyzed. Some believe it was a misidentified primate. Others aren't so sure. One thing's certain, those rangers never returned to that section of the river again. Number 6. On the banks of the Niger River, just outside a remote village in Mali, a group of armed hunters prepared to ambush a hippo that had been attacking livestock. They had rifles. They had backup. They thought they were ready. But when the creature finally emerged from the water, it wasn't a typical hippo. Witnesses described it as twice the usual size, with scarred, almost armor-like skin and glowing eyes that reflected red, even in daylight. It let out a roar unlike anything they had heard, deep, guttural, almost mechanical. The hunters fired multiple rounds. And the thing didn't flinch. Instead, it charged. 3 men were seriously injured trying to escape. One rifle was found bent nearly in half, as if crushed by a hydraulic press. Locals now call it Bala, the river demon. Elders say it only appears during years of drought, when the river runs low and angry. While no scientific body has officially investigated the event, regional authorities closed off the area for weeks, citing unstable terrain. But the villagers know what they saw, and since that day, no one, no matter how brave, has dared to fish there again. We've seen what lurks beneath Africa's rivers: giant fish, prehistoric beasts, and creatures no one can explain. But the next 5 cases, they didn't just terrify fishermen or shock scientists. They made entire villages flee, halted military operations, and left behind questions no one dares to answer. From here on, every case gets darker, and what's next was caught on camera. Number 5. In the early 2000s, deep in the wetlands of Burundi, reports began to surface of a Nile crocodile so massive and aggressive. Locals believed it was cursed. They called him Gustav. Estimated to be over 6 meters long and weigh more than a ton, Gustav wasn't just big, he was a hunter of humans. Witnesses claimed he would pull fishermen from their boats, wait near riverbanks where children played, and even stalk entire villages. Locals believe he's responsible for more than 300 deaths. In 2002, a team of French researchers launched an expedition to capture him. They built a steel trap the size of a shipping container, baited it with meat and even a live goat. But Gustav never entered. He circled it for days, then vanished. National Geographic later featured the hunt in a documentary titled Capturing the Killer Croc. Gustav became a legend, not just because of his size, but because of how smart he was. He hasn't been seen in years, but locals still avoid the riverbanks at night, because in Burundi, when something moves in the water, they assume it's Gustav. Number 4. In the early 1990s, along a stretch of the Niger Delta in Nigeria, fishermen from 2 separate villages reported nearly identical encounters, something massive beneath the surface capsizing entire canoes in seconds. The survivors described a single violent strike from below, followed by silence. No thrashing, no bodies recovered, just shattered wood floating downstream. What makes this story different is how far apart the incidents occurred, over 20 kilometers, yet the description of the creature was nearly identical. Elongated, dark, with a ridged back and no visible eyes. One elder claimed it was Egbere Miri, the devourer of boats from old Igbo legends. But these weren't old stories. They were fresh accounts, tied to real disappearances and local panic. In response, villages began marking danger zones along the river with red cloth tied to poles. No one fished there, not even at night. The 2003 regional report mentioned unusual underwater turbulence and warned of seismic activity, but nothing further was done. To this day, those zones remain untouched, because when the river goes still, it means something is watching. Number 3. In 2014, near the remote village of Mosaka in the Republic of the Congo, a group of researchers studying freshwater biodiversity encountered something they couldn't explain. They had set up electric nets overnight in a narrow offshoot of the Congo River, expecting to capture fish for tagging. But what they found the next morning wasn't just strange, it was dangerous. Two of their metal nets had been twisted apart, their small generator was fried, and nearby, one of the team members lay unconscious with deep red welts across his chest, burns consistent with a strong electric discharge. Locals had warned them about a spirit eel that lived in that stretch of the river, something that could shock a grown man into paralysis. Electric eels aren't native to Africa, but the wounds, the damaged gear, and the abrupt electrical failure suggested something similar, perhaps even more powerful. Samples taken from the area showed elevated electromagnetic activity, but nothing conclusive. The expedition was cut short, and when the team returned weeks later with backup equipment, the river had flooded, erasing every trace. Some believe it was a freak accident. Others think something ancient lives down there, something that doesn't like to be studied. Number 2. In 2020, deep in the swamps of northern Zambia, 2 park rangers were tracking elephants near the Luangwa River when they heard what sounded like muffled screaming coming from the reeds. They expected to find a wounded animal. Instead, they stumbled upon a scene of chaos. 3 young lions soaked in mud, backing away slowly from the water's edge. Their eyes were fixed on something moving, something slithering just beneath the surface. What emerged shocked them. A massive black shape, thick as a tree trunk, slowly lifted from the river and coiled itself around a fallen log. One ranger later described it as a snake, but not like any snake I've ever seen. It had moss growing on its back and no head that I could see. Before they could react, it slipped back into the water and disappeared. The lions ran, and so did the rangers. Later analysis of their radio log confirmed the timestamp and their panicked transmission. But no photographic evidence exists, only the testimony of 2 experienced trackers, both of whom refused to return to that section of the river ever again. To this day, locals refer to the creature as Mutumbi, the ghost of the flood, and no one walks near that shore at dusk. We've seen giants, predators, and creatures that defy biology. But this final case didn't just terrify those who saw it, it made the king of the jungle turn and flee. What came out of the river that day wasn't just unexpected, it challenged everything we think we know about nature. This is number 1. Number 1. Near the banks of the Zambezi River, close to the border between Zimbabwe and Zambia, wildlife trackers began reporting something strange in 2015. Entire herds of antelope and buffalo were avoiding one specific bend in the river. This wasn't normal. The area was a known watering hole, rich in vegetation and safe from most predators. Or at least it used to be. Then came the incident. A pride of lions approached the water at dusk. Guides watching from a distance reported sudden agitation, growling, pacing, then a full retreat. No warning sounds, no visible threat. Just something in the water. Later, a ranger inspecting the shoreline found deep drag marks in the mud, like something heavy had crawled from the river and returned. The spacing of the impressions didn't match any known crocodile or hippo. Locals speak of Nzuyamanzi, a river spirit described as part serpent, part crocodile, with a breath that smells of rot. To outsiders, it's just folklore. But since that year, not a single large predator has been spotted drinking from that section of the river. Whatever came out of the water changed the rules. Even the kings of the savannah know when it's time to back away.